Hello, everybody. My name is Roberto Hernandez. I'm going to give you a presentation about the mestizos and the colonial ruling and how it affected them. I'm going to give you a fact or two about each status that they had. So we're going to start with the origin. What is the origin of the mestizos? What I found was that it took place in the New World. The mestizo was described as someone who's mixed. Basically, it was the Spanish with the native Indians. Another fact that I found was that the first mestizo generation were born in 1533, but it also took time for the population to develop. But it grew significantly after the demographic catastrophe. All right, we're going to jump right into the racial status of the mestizos. So basically, the racial status of the mestizos was a concept that the Spanish made. The mestizos were basically considered as brown, but some of them were white, if that makes sense. The Spanish didn't want them to have like some sort of power just because they were some type of race. So they were considered as mixed brown. All right, so we're gonna jump into the cultural background. They lacked cultural background, so they leaned more into the Spanish cultural background, and they basically dressed as the Spanish. They tried to do everything in the Spanish, but the Spanish obviously rejected them, as in a way, because they thought they were like Indians, but the Indians also resented it because they thought that they didn't want to be part of the Indian culture because they were mixed. The legal status of the mestizos. Some of the they couldn't legally own the land, but they had to pay the same taxes as the upper classes, and they had to obey the same laws. One of the facts was that they could not hold public office. They could also not enter certain professions. If not acclaimed by the Spanish father, they basically didn't have the same treatment as the Spanish, even though they were part Spanish. Also, by the gender status, females were able to take advantage of their status. They could marry. As for the economic status, their jobs were really limited. They had barely job opportunities. What men had to do was to be servants. So basically, they were really unfair towards the mestizos. They claimed children were inherent of lands, but they could not manage them. So it was very hard for the mestizos to escape oppression, basically. So they barely had any economic balance. All right, so we're going to the conclusion of the mestizos. Did the mestizos benefit from the colonial ruling? Overall, I think they did, because they were mixed, but at the same time they didn't, because they didn't have the same benefits as the upper class, even though they were seen as one from the lower class, but they barely had any job opportunities, because they were mixed, and the Spanish didn't want them to have the same power, or they